And hold turn is here. Okay, so we have if elif that determines if they say R, it will call roll die. If they say H, it will call hold turn. Notice that what's new here? Well, the play game function, let's go back to that, uses a while statement here to call the take turn function here until the game over variable is set to true. Once game over is set to true, that ends the while statement. And again, we use the darn not, this not makes, when game over is true, it makes this false. And so while ends. What else is new here? The function, game, which one is it? Notice the play game function uses a while statement called take turn until the game over variable set to true. Notice that this function uses multiple assignments that we really haven't talked about before. The values that are assigned to the variables are the values returned by take turn using this. This is multiple assignment. And it's kind of complex, but that's what this does. Okay, so we're returning multiple values from a function. What else can I say? Oh, we're running out of time. Well, anyway, if you walk through this, clearly this is more complex than anything we've seen before. It just is. Okay. So if you really are interested in how it works, you've got the slides with my notes on them. Let's do one more thing. The exercise. And between now and next week, I will send you the answers to the first 3 and also to the 4th, as whoever that was suggested. I'll pass that out, I don't know, a day before, maybe when I send the materials a day or 2 before. So if you want to try to do this exercise, you can, but then I'll give you the answer, which probably would be more instructive than not giving you the answer. So let's take a look here. Again, I give you a starting program and I give you a Word doc. Let's call up the starting program. Notice this showed up when you start importing modules. It creates a folder called _PyCache _. If you go in there, well, nothing in there, but I believe it corresponds to objects that are in a different workspace in your session. It stores them in there if you have any. So let's look. Okay, so I want this, I believe. Right. Okay, so open up, the screen's big enough. I can open up the Word doc. Yeah. Okay, so it should do everything this thing does. Here's your starting program. Oh, not that. That's big die. That. Should do everything this does, and this is pretty long. But again, have the user enter their name, and of course that's going to be easy for you. Print a banner. Oh, okay. So this here, let's run it. Does it format the money? We'll see. Okay, so run. Monthly investments, 100. Interest rate, 12. Number of years, 5. Doesn't do any formatting at all. Let's say that is in dollars and cents. Let's do it one more time. And we'll say 250, 8% a year for 5. Okay, so it's printing out the future value at the end of each yearly period. Okay, well, how does it do that? Well, so this is a little different than, and he does this. He has the same program under this. He uses a similar name for different programs, which can get a little confusing. But if we look at it, and I've put some documentation that correspond 3 and 4. I think that's corresponds to, no, doesn't correspond to anything. There is some data validation in this. Okay. Monthly investments got to be more than 0. This is the original program. It's got to be less than 1,000. Interest rate has got to be greater than 0. It's got to be less than 15% per year. This is the original starting program, so you don't have to write this. Years go, you can have, it's got to be more than 0 years, but less than or equal to 50. Okay, so if they enter 51 years, then this prints out. We're converting to monthly. We're converting to monthly values in terms of the interest rate. And to do that, you've got to take the yearly interest rate divided by 12 months. And as I mentioned a couple of times, to get the percent, you got to divide that by 100, right? Because 1% is really 0.01. Okay. And then we do this to figure out an ongoing tally in terms of months. And note, because we're using range, we want to go right up to this. If this value is 20 months, because of the way range works, it will actually stop at 19. Okay, so that's why this says months plus 1. And it's kind of funky. I don't like how Python, I don't like the way this function is defined. You know, intuitively, range should go all the way up to the max, 20, but it doesn't. It stops, it's 1 shy. So if you want it to go up to 20, you've got to add 1 to it. Now, this is the only part that's mysterious at all. And what we're doing here, this displays the results for each year. Well, what is a year? We're looking at everything in months, right? So you know that you've ended a year when the number of months that have passed are perfectly divisible by 12. And that's what this does, right? I is months. Okay, I is just the initializing variable in the for loop, but we're using it as a proxy for months. I is going to start at 1 month and go up to 20 months. Okay, so if we want to print out by year, how do we figure out when to print out that value? Well, it's got to be either at 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, 48 months, or 60 months. And you can easily determine that by using the, I already forget what this is, modulo, I guess, where if you divide, this means the remainder is 0. That's what this means. It's remainder division, I suppose. Modulo, I think, gives you the what's to the left, I believe. I don't know, I forget. But if it's perfectly, so if months is 12, this is going to be true. And every time, if months is 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, this will be true, and it'll print out whatever the value is at that moment, right? So In this one, I'm asking you to do it quarterly, not yearly. And I'm asking you to format the dollars, which we haven't even talked about. I would encourage you to format the dollars. You can do that using the locale module. Locale, the module is named locale, Locale, and you'd have to look at the help. Or you could do it manually, where you put in dollar signs in your print statements and put the commas in the right place. You could do that using an F statement without too much trouble. Or you can consult Dr. Google. You can say, Dr. Google, how do you format currency in Python 3.11? And you'll get a plethora of pages that have abundant information on how to do that. Okay, so again, a little challenge. We didn't really talk about it, but that's real life. Okay. And so you'll get, and I changed the defaults, right? Instead of the monthly, the quarterly, they're investing quarterly, not monthly. And it should be between 0 and 500. What was it over here? The monthly was between 0 and 1,000. I'm saying, well, they're doing it quarterly and it should be between 0 and 500. An interest rate between 0 and 16%. So I'm changing all those validation parameters a little bit. Really, the only wrinkle to this is doing it quarterly, printing out the quarterly results. It should look like this, right? And these numbers are correct, or it should look like this, where you get all these data validation statements, or it looks like this. So I give you 4 examples, 5 examples, and I do call it assignment 4, but really it's exercise 4. That's the only difference. Should be exercise 4, not assignment 4. Okay. So any question about that or about anything? Any comments? This one, again, this one's really not that hard. It does, you got to do quarterly, and you try to, and the first time you do this, try to adjust all of these calculations, you probably will get it wrong. But don't despair and just, try it again.